Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Hi, welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life to tune in. It is November. I believe it's November already, honey. Oh, summer flew by. The whole year is just flown by.
I'm ready for summer.
I'm ready for summer next year already. You know, in Maine, the snow flies in November, so we'll be losing our grass here shortly. Sometimes October. And we usually don't see our grass from November all the way until May. We won't see our grass again probably till sometime in May. And our lake will be ice covered in another couple weeks, and it'll be ice covered all the way until May. So it'll sad, but it is pretty.
We just go away.
Yeah, we'll spend some time in the Caribbean. Anyway, life is good. But I just want to say hello, and we're starting an 8-part series this week. So we have had, I think, over 40 guests on our podcast this year. We're going to take a break from having guests, and we're going to do an 8-part series ourselves on the 8 pillars of leadership, 8 pillars of leverage in your childcare business. And there's 8 different areas that we think it's important for the master to get leverage in your business. And these are the 8 areas that we teach our leverage conference in the fall every year. We just got done teaching them in our conference in Jamaica. So we're going to take all of November and all of December and teach these 8 principles. And they are mindset, marketing, systems, operations, leadership, staffing, finances, and diversification. All 8 of these will be taught over the next 8 weeks, and from November all the way up until the end of December. We hope you enjoy this series. Okay, we're going to start today with mindset. So get excited, and we're going to talk a little bit about some different areas of mindset that you need to know. Now, a lot of people dismiss mindset as important, and very few coaches actually talk about mindset. I was one of the first coaches to actually start teaching the importance of having a good mindset. And why do you think it's important, huh?
Well, because if you don't have the right mindset, you start your day off negative and you can't improve your day. But if you start it off with a good mindset, it just gives you the, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the foundation for having good rest of your day.
True. And usually the mindset of the owner determines the mindset of the director, which usually determines the mindset of the team. And usually it's hard to have a director that has a better mindset than the owner and a better team that has a mindset of the director. So it's usually leadership falls downhill, and it has to come from the top.
It's kind of like if you have if you have one staff member that can bring the whole team down. It's the same thing if you have a negative director or a negative owner, and you go in there with a bad mindset, you can bring your whole team down.
Whole team down. And it goes the other way around. It can actually bring the people up. Right. Good attitudes are infectious. And it's hard to look at somebody who's smiling with a frown on your face. Usually smiling people tend to lead to other smiles. If I smile at you now, when you're watching this on video, you're probably realizing that you probably just smiled too, because you tend to smile back, and people tend to mirror your attitude and event. So we want to talk first about something that Carol and I have done now for months and months and months, and it's been a game changer in our relationship and also in our business. We're noticing a lot of changes, and it's called the Genius Morning. Why do you like the Genius Morning, honey?
I like it because I have to get up early.
I know you're lying there.
I just like it because I start my day off uh, something positive. And I also start my day off relaxed. I don't get up and start work as soon as I get up.
So Carol and I used to do the hamster wheel. We would get up and jump on our little hamster wheel, meaning that we would just go work, 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 work. And I did this 7 days a week. I get up at 5:30, and I used to have a 7-step commute to my office, and now it's 25 steps because I moved. And people are like, what? Yeah. So, I have an office in my house, and it was 7 steps away from my bed. And I would literally get up, walk those 7 steps, sit down at my desk, and I'd be working, at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier. And I would just immediately start working and maybe have time once in a while to grab a bite or something like that, would just immediately get into work. And when I moved my office, I had that long commute to go from 7 steps to 25 steps. And I actually go upstairs too. That was hard making that big change, 25 steps. But it would, instead of working 30 seconds after I got up, it would take me a whole minute to get to my desk. But that was our routine for a long time. Carol would do the same. Of course, she would sleep an hour later than me every morning. And then she would get up and get right to work on hers, get on the phone, returning emails. And we would just get on that hamster wheel and we would just start working right away. So we read a book called The Miracle Morning. And we started like, okay, let's take what we like out of this and create our own morning. And we call it Genius Morning. And we started teaching this at our conference in Jamaica this year. So basically, what Carol and I do is we get up, we immediately brush our teeth, make our bed, and splash some water on our face. And we get up, and what we do is we do a little bit different than some of the other routines. Is we go up and we read, and we grab a book. And this is something that Carol's not been a reader for 25 years. It's just something that she didn't like doing. She would listen to audiobooks and things like that, but reading was not your specialty. You just never had the patience to sit down and read, right?
Right. I mean, it's kind of like when you read, you have to slow down and you have to be able to absorb what you're reading. And I just had a problem with that. My mind was always going in different directions.
I did too. I got to admit that I was a much more an audible person because I could multitask when I'm audibling. Driving down the road, I could audible, and it was hard for me to slow down. But as a coach, I have been teaching for years that you need to sometimes slow down to speed up. And this is one area that I found that by slowing down, we've been able to speed up our business by actually slowing down. So what we do is we get up, like this morning, we set our alarm for 5:30 a.m. And this is Monday morning that we're recording this. And it was 5:30 in the morning, but we went to bed at 8:30. So we went to bed pretty early.
We're old.
Because we're old. And we work hard, so we get tired sometimes. But we normally like to get up between 5:30 and 6, and we set the alarm. And I set it 6 days a week. Sunday's my day to sleep in, and I might get till 6 o'clock on Sunday, but we still have the same routine and everything. But anyway, we're gonna read. We read for about 30 to 45 minutes. This morning it was 45 minutes, and I read longer today than normal, and you did too. And sometimes we don't have a set stop time. We just go to we feel like we've read enough. But I know I want to read at least usually a chapter or sometimes 2 chapters in a book. And we're both reading really good books right now, and we're just loving it. And a lot of times we'll read a book and then we'll swap the books. So we both read the same books. Sometimes I read about twice as fast as Carol because I'm a speed reader. So I read a book and then she usually follows behind me. And what we've done is I highlight in blue, she highlights in pink. So she's following behind me and she sees what I highlight in blue as things that kind of interest me. And then I go back and reread the areas she highlights in a book after she's done reading it. That way it sees what I can see what sparks her interest on that. So we're kind of like, mind melding where we're both kind of learning the same stuff in there. And it's been really good. Anything more about the reading?
No, I as far as the morning goes, I found that I sleep better at night if I don't hear you set the alarm. If I don't hear him say, Alexa, set alarm for 6 a.m.
That's funny. Okay, I'll remember that now to set automatic reminders, and I'll make sure you're not in the room so you won't know. Or I'll set the clock an hour ahead. Think you get an extra hour of sleep. That's what I will do.
Yeah.
You can see how much fun we have with this. But Carol used to be a really kind of a,
Grouch in the morning.
I was going to say witch, but grouch is nice. Yes, that worked. Um, yeah, it was not really until she had two cups of coffee. But now, I get up, I make her coffee, make mine, and then we just
I
go
got up
sit.
before you today.
You did. I was surprised, Set that alarm for 5:30. She was already up. And
Because we went to bed.
we went to bed early. So that's the secret too, like, well, I don't think I can get up early. Well, you just go to bed earlier and you could find that in. So and then after we read, we work out. So we get a workout in, and I got injured in Jamaica. So I'm unable to do my workouts until I heal. I broke some ribs. So we walked, we walked a couple miles this morning. We put weights on our ankles, and sometimes we'll wear a weight vest, and we go walk, and we power walk. And while we're walking, we listen to a marriage podcast. We work on a relationship podcast. And so a podcast that we like, and we listen to it together. We listen to the same episode, and it's something we've done for a long time. We like taking walks while we're working on our relationship. We're spending time together. That's number one, and we're also reading or studying how to be better partners for each other. Do you like the walks?
I do.
I mean, it was 30 something degrees this morning, so it's a little chilly when we're walking. And by the time we're done walking, we're sweating, but we're starting out as freezing, and pretty soon there'll be snow on the ground, and it gets a little tricky when it gets icy. But we do have a treadmill, and we can work in there. But normally we're doing workouts in our house, lifting weights and things like that. When I get better, we'll do that. And that's kind of the genius morning. Then we eat breakfast together. And then that usually takes 2 hours to do all that stuff. And by 8:30, we're done. And today it was almost 3 hours of reading, walking, and having breakfast together and just talking. And
I mean, you have to find out what works for you. If you start work, say at 10 o'clock, you don't have to get up at 6 o'clock. Or if reading doesn't energize you, or walking or something else does, find out what will energize you for the day and do that.
yeah, find out something that slows you down, that you can educate yourself a little bit. Like, what happens is most parents will just get up, and their kids get up at the same time. They're making them breakfast, and they're going 100 miles an hour from the second they get up till the second they go to bed. And they're just exhausted, and they're just doing that all the time. And husband and wife, if you have children, and you might need to give each other genius morning time. You might not be able to do it together. Maybe one does it, you alternate. I was listening to a podcast today. It was talking about how the husband and wife, when the husband gets home from work, the wife's been watching the kids all day. She needs her little genius time where she goes and has some alone time, and he's got to step in there. He can't just come home and say, I need my alone time. Well, she's been busy working on this. So find out what works for you. Well, we hope this helps. We do trainings at our conferences on this. Carol will be doing another one in our Vegas conference next year. Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is a genius evening. So we flip it and reverse it in the evenings, and we have a work cutoff time at 7 p.m. and we stop work after 7. Like, that's our deal. That we don't turn our phones off. We just tend to not want to respond and do work in there. People could still reach us more on an emergency basis, but we're kind of in tune with each other at that time. We know that if we are doing work, we're taking time away from the other person. There's a couple shows that we like to watch. So from 7 to 9, that's usually our routine. We hold hands. It's something we do. I have cold hands, so it keeps my hands warm. And so we hold hands and we watch our favorite show. And that's our bonding time. That's our time to come together after a long day. We've worked hard. I've done a lot of calls. She's done a lot of stuff on her end. So work together. And then something we're adding now is I want a little bit more. So a lot of times these shows get my adrenaline wired up. So I'm going to start doing some reading, 15 to 20 minute worth of reading before I go. And I'm going to call that the Genius Wind Down, where I need to get some solitude, some quiet time, and do a little bit of reading before I go to bed in a positive mental attitude book. So I'm bringing that into my routine now. I'm just getting ready to start on that. So I'm not teaching it yet, but I just wanted to share that because that's something we're going to be doing. Because I've noticed that sometimes it's hard for me to get to sleep because I have adrenaline built up from watching cop shows and dramas and really cool. And some, bad guys are being chased. And, it gets your adrenaline up when you see that. And then you try to go to bed and you're still a little amped up. So I need a little decompressed time to come down. All right. So the next thing on the mindset is what you putting in your mind. Mindset is all about what you're putting in. So, what are you listening to? What podcasts are you listening to? What music? What movies? What do you put in? So, when you're driving down the road, do you have a rolling university? We call it. So my car, I'm have Audible going or a podcast when I'm driving because it's dead time. It's time that you could use while you could study and learn. So make sure you're doing that. Um, like I said, when Carol and I are walking, we're doing relationship stuff. When I'm driving, I'm doing self-improvement stuff on my own end. But sometimes it's relationship stuff because I want to be a better husband and father. But a lot of times it's business related too as well. Are you a big podcast when driving or audiobooks?
I listen to Audible sometimes,
Sometimes.
but usually I listen to music.
Yeah, that's fine. Go as you what's best for you. And like I said, I do listen to music on occasion too, but sometimes I just feel like I get in the zone. And there's a men's podcast that I listen to that I really enjoy. And sometimes I just like that alone time, and I feel like I'm bonding with somebody else listening to that stuff. Another mindset thing is vacation often. As I coach, I've coached hundreds of people, and I've coached more childcare owners than anybody on the planet. So I feel like I have the best assessment at what childcare owners feel. So a lot of them don't vacation enough, and some of them don't vacation at all. I know I've been meeting some of you guys that just, you haven't had a vacation without children in years. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You need a vacation without your children. Something we've been doing since our kids were little. Thankfully we got good parents that have been able to watch children, and then
when we lived away from our parents, we did it. Usually it was just for one day, but we had a babysitter that would watch them overnight, and we would go away for a day and just be by ourselves.
Yeah, and work on us. And then once we moved around family, we were able to get away for a week at a time. And then once our kids grew up, all the older kids started watching our younger kids, and then we got away a lot more often. And now we're 10, 12 weeks away, in the Caribbean every year. And we have the vacation schedule that we want. Well, almost. We're working on getting more in there. But we enjoy time together. We're together 24/7, 365. We're hardly ever apart. But we need that not work time. We need the sitting on the beach, and not have to go get your own beverage, somebody bringing that to you and bringing your food and being spoiled a little bit, and somebody else making your bed.
Calling and saying, I don't feel like getting up. Could you bring me a pizza, please?
Yes, that'll work too. Sometimes you just need to be spoiled. You work hard. So vacation often, that is an important thing. You find out what that often means. It could be once a year. It could be two half of vacations a year, just something to get away and just be still and be clarity. We call it a clarity time. We have clarity weeks. We just get away. We just think, use our brain and think. And that's how, this business that we have today comes from that. We thought about coaching and it became it. So the last thing to think about here is meditation or creative time or be still time. I was reading in a book today and talking about how a lot of leaders was I don't know if it was Nikolai Tesla, but somebody was talking about just he would plan a vacation or he would go into rooms and just shut the light out in a totally dark room just to think, like be still and be quiet. And he said his creative juices were flowing when he got rid of all the other senses, where he'd be like in a dark room. And that's where he thought the best. The shower is somewhere where I usually do my best thinking. And I have Alexa in my office, in my bathroom rather, that I could ask her to put things on a list. So I could have her put things on a to-do list or a reminder list while I'm in the shower thinking of really cool ideas. But where's your time? where do you go to be still or to think or to have clarity? It's very important to just be still and quiet time. Now, I have ringing in the ears, so it's very hard for me to get quiet time because my ears are always ringing. So it's very important to find time where there's stillness. Do you ever get time where there's stillness?
I do. I mean, just because we have no kids around anymore, we have no pets around, so I could just kind of sit. Sometimes I just kind of sit in the chair and chill.
Just be chill.
No TV, no book, nothing. I just sit there.
Just sit there. And so it's important to have that time. Driving time, sometimes I'll drive with nothing on just for that little bit of quiet time. So I think it's important to have that creative time. Get your block that time out and just be still. And make sure your mental health is good. If you need to talk to somebody like a therapist, we have a lot of clients that have mental health issues right now. Don't be ashamed. Get help. You need to talk to somebody.
I don't think you have to have mental health issues to talk to a therapist.
Oh, good point.
I think it's just good to have somebody to talk things out with.
Yeah, good point. But we all have struggles of it is mental health isn't always a negative thing.
Right.
Mental, the healthy mental part of your brain. We all have a mental health. We just all are at different levels. Some of our clients suffer from anxiety. They're worried about the future, and some of our clients suffer from depression. They're worried about the past. We try to help people focus on the now, and I think that's what getting help is all about. There's no shame in that. So we just want to make sure everybody has a good mindset working in there. We hope this episode helps, and we will see you next week when we talk about marketing. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode. Before we go today, we want to remind you that tickets are still on sale. We have not sold out yet for our Childcare Genius Live Conference in Las Vegas, April 14th, 15th, and 16th at the Golden Nugget. That is in downtown Las Vegas. And tickets are on sale right now at childcaregenius.com. And we're excited to have you there. We're going to have over 500 exciting childcare owners and directors. There's 2 different experiences, one for owners in one room and one for directors in a completely different room. And it's the most advanced childcare conference in the world. You excited, Carol?
I am. It's going to be a great conference.
Yeah, we did it last year. We had over 300 last year. We're going to have over 500 this year, and it's going to be amazing. We have secured ticket room prices. We secured $75 room rate plus resort fee and tax, but that's an unheard of to go to a conference. Childcare conference, you only have to pay $75 plus resort fee and tax for a room. You can afford to bring your whole team at that price. Absolutely. And of course, it's cheap to eat in Las Vegas too.
Yeah.
Some of these hotels you go to in, big cities like New York or Chicago, and they're paying $12 for a hamburger and, and $8 for a cup of coffee because you're stuck there. You can't go anywhere else. And here you got, the Vegas downtown. Things are cheap. Yeah, steak and shake burger. $4.99 for a steak and shake burger and fries. So you can eat cheaply, and or you can eat expensive too. There's some nice restaurants.
Really good steakhouses.
But it's definitely much more affordable than going to most childcare conferences. And Vegas is fun.
It is fun.
And they have a good time. So we hope you'll consider coming to the most advanced childcare conference in the world. Every speaker is in the childcare industry. We don't put celebrities on who can't teach you how to do payroll in a childcare center. They might sell a few books, but we don't do that. We just put people on stage that have done what you wanted to do. And totally different than most childcare conferences. And Carol and I can't wait to meet you, and we'd love to have you there. So go to childcaregenius.com, go under the conference tab, and select Childcare Genius Live, and go ahead and get your tickets today. Book your rooms. This will sell out, and we're excited to say that. So this concludes this episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll see you next week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius podcast.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.